Well, hello everyone and welcome back to this F1 2020 My Team Career Mode as we bring back the Minardi name into F1 after a 15-year absence. So then, we're at Japan for round 13 of 16, and Carl mentioned before we came to the event that the FIA have now brought out essentially a statement and saying what departments are going to be affected going into the new season. Looking at weather then, it's a mix of nice and sunny and slightly overcast conditions, but no sign of rain, which is good to see. A 27-lap race. So the weekend preview there from Carl. The weather forecast, a bit overcast, but the sun is creeping through for both qualifying and the race. Development update, I should say. Good news from the team over at the Wind Tunnel Boss. The recent upgrades to this facility, God, my English is failing me, have opened new development opportunities. You can look at the newly available upgrades in the R&D screen. That's basically because we've got the aerodynamic department up to spec 1. It means it's allowed us the opportunity to do more upgrades when we have the resource points. Development's completed. Good news to our friends at Renault. They've introduced a new upgrade package onto the power unit, so hopefully we'll notice some improvement in the next race. You can look at the upgrade details in the R&D screen. And again, I'd like to remind you that we spend. Oh my God, my English, what's going on? I'd like to recommend that we spend some of the cash we're accumulating. We can invest in better facilities or try to tempt a more expensive driver to race as your teammate. Yeah, that's fine. We are generating quite a lot of money at the moment, which is quite good. So the rivalry with Ricciardo then, 2 weekends remaining. I've given up with that. I didn't think I'd actually win it anyway. So it's not the worst thing in the world, really. Driver details, average finish is now 14th, average grid 17th. We've driven nearly 2,100 miles, 20 points to our name. Right then, so R&D. Right, here we go. On the right hand side you'll see there, warning, regulation changes. Regulation changes will come into force at the start of next season, making existing upgrades obsolete in their current state. Such upgrades can be adapted at 50% purchase cost to make them legal for next season's regulations. All currently fitted upgrades will remain active on the car for the remainder of this season, but any non-adapted upgrades will be lost beyond that point. So the powertrain and the aerodynamic departments have been affected. I don't know why I went up there. So then we've had an upgrade coming in from Renault, which is quite nice, one of these anyway. So we have to do both of these, adapt the part, and if we adapt the part, you can see there's a 0% failure chance, and there you go, you can see that it is an instant upgrade. So we can do both of these pretty cheaply. The aerodynamic one as well, they're all 250, 275, that sort of thing. So I think probably after this race we can get one of these departments done. After the second race we can get the other one done. As for chassis upgrades, obviously this major upgrade has come in. This one is being redeveloped and we're waiting as well for this one to come in. So R&D in progress. You can see it there, the 12th of October we've got the redo of the major upgrade for the monocoque structure, and we've got the first attempt at the minor upgrade for the roll dampers. As for progress history, quite a few teams have made big upgrades in the month off between Italy and Japan. Red Bull have had a massive upgrade, they've caught right up to Mercedes. Ferrari, a little one for them. Racing Point have improved, Renault have had a big improvement, McLaren, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo have had a big improvement, slight one from Haas. We've had a good go of it as well, so has Williams. So it's starting to close up a little bit between all 11 teams, which is quite interesting. As for units, obviously I'll be changing onto these before I go into FP1. I'll probably be onto units number 2 and 3 for the free practice sessions, then for qualifying and race move on to the final ones. Gearbox, we're getting a new one, a new practice gearbox for FP1. Event gearbox, 3 of the 6 weekends completed, only 17%. Absolutely nothing to worry about with the rare weight on that. And the weekend tyre location, as I usually go, is the softest. So we've got 6 sets of soft tyres and 2 sets of mediums to use up in 4 sets of soft tyres and 2 mediums to use up in the free practice session. So a lot has happened in at the end of the last episode, and now we know where we stand when it comes to redevelopment of certain units. Unfortunately, it's not the chassis or durability department for the first season. It's the easy ones that we haven't done a lot of work on. And we've got some upgrades there from the durability and from Renault as well. And we're at Japan, one circuit that I really, really do like. So I'll go away now to FP1 and do that off camera and give you a report once the session is finished. So FP1 ends, Vettel fastest on a 29.336, nearly 6 tenths quicker than Ricciardo up in second place. We've also got Perez in fifth, Kvyat in seventh as well. A lot of people running the medium tyres. I think there was a few people on the hards. No, in fact, everyone ended up on the medium tyres. 3.824 off the pace, a couple of tenths away from Latifi, 1.4 away from our own teammate. That's fine though. This stage of the season, obviously, FP1 and FP2 are running older units to try and not get any more grid penalties, although I think we might need to take another grid penalty before the end of the season, even though we are so close to the end. We managed to do purple in the track acclimatisation, tyre management and fuel management programme, so a good start already. I've got a nice balance on the car. Tyre wear seems pretty even and balanced as well, so it's all about just getting the resource programmes done in FP2. We'll move on to some slightly more powerful units, so I'm hoping that lap times do improve, but FP1 is complete. The times are completely irrelevant. It's all about just getting practice programs done. So I'll move forward to FP2 and hopefully we can start to climb up the leaderboard. So a pretty decent FP2. We end the session in fourth place. We've managed to do all of our final practice programs that we needed to do. So the ERS management was done in purple, the qualifying one was done in purple, which is why we're up into P4, and the race management one was done in purple as well. Looking ahead, we did 6 laps in one stint on the soft tyres, and they were just inside the 30% range, so I'm quite confident that we can do 10 laps in the softs, maybe eke out an extra lap or 2, and maybe do soft mediums in the race. We'll have to see what happens once we go into qualifying and of course the race. So yeah, P4 ending it on the soft tyres. Most people out there on the softs. Further down, Nick De Vries ended the session 18th, just a couple of attempts away from Kvyat, but he was on the medium tyres. But he was ahead of Grosjean and Latifi. Magnussen and Russell did their laps, their fastest laps on the hard tyres. So FP3, I will sit it out. There's no point really running it. And I'm not going to run it just to show you some footage of the circuit. You'll see plenty during the qualifying session. It's a good opportunity if we can get everything done in FP1 and FP2. Sit out FP3 so we can save the gearbox, and we can also save all of our engine units as well. So it's exactly what we'll do, and I'll see you guys back at the beginning of qualifying. So we're in the garage then at the beginning of the qualifying session, about 16.5 minutes left. Few cars out on circuit, so the car setup then, might as well show you. Drain some fuel out. Aero 6.8, transmission 60%, suspension geometry to the right on camber, to the left on toe, suspension 446666, brakes 154, and the tyres is 1 click to the left for the front and rear right side tyres, 2 clicks to the left for the front and rear left tyres. I was going through all that. Jeff was chatting in the background, so hopefully you heard everything I was saying. Power unit, once we leave the garage, will be on units number 4 or 3, basically the best units that we've got. The gearbox as well, now onto the event gearbox, 17%. Halfway, about to start really our 4th of 6 weekend running this unit. So everything's okay over there. No lap times on the board just yet, so good excuse to get out on circuit. Park firmware regulations now in effect as a racing point goes past us, and we'll jump out on circuit. It's a great circuit. Suzuka has a really nice flow to it. A lot of people like this circuit. Very high speed. There are a few slow corners, certainly the final chicane as well. But it's got a good nice flow to this circuit. I always enjoy running around Suzuka. Pit limiter off, and now off the pits we come. So our lap almost completed through 130R, which will be easy flat on any tyres. Onto the final chicane. Short shifts up to 4th to kill the oversteer, and let's start our first flying lap. Well, it wasn't the tardiest lap by any imagination, but we'll complete it anyway, see where it puts us. It even puts us behind Latifi by 2.5 tenths. We lost quite a bit of time in Sector 1, the S section. I struggled a little bit through there, can definitely be a bit neater through there. And also the final chicane as well, we lost quite a bit of time as well, just broke a bit too late, ran the car wide, so we can definitely improve. But we've got our banker in at least. So just over 9 minutes left of the session. There's a few cars out on track, but they've all just completed their first run, so they'll be back in the garage. I've made a new change onto the soft tyres. You can see they were last at the moment, but if we find 3 tenths of a second, it'll put us up into, well, ahead of George Russell. But I kind of want to find at least half a second on this lap if I can, put us close to Magnussen, and maybe even beat Magnussen and get close to Grosjean as well. So the target really is to try and get on the back of the Haas cars up in at least P18 if we can manage it.
Perhaps we should get out there before it gets busy.
That's exactly what we'll do. We'll go out for our second of 3 runs. Middle part of the session is when it's fairly quiet, so hopefully no one can get in our way. We'll definitely find some time in Sector 1, and we can find some time in the final chicane as well. Sector 2 was okay. Spoon curve, the hairpin as well. So we just got to turn the wrongs into rights, and I'm sure that we can move up the order.
Lap of fuel remaining.
And we've ruined it. Oh dear. Well, we've got time for another run at least, certainly not on these tyres. Just ran a little bit wide there. Mistakes happen, no. No one's perfect. Here we go then. You've got the Mercedes and the Ferrari coming up the pits. Just a couple of minutes left of the session. We should be the last car out on circuit. Looks like some of the big boys are going out towards the end. Already quite a few cars out on circuit. Got plenty of time to get round. So it's disappointing then to have spun there on our second lap. Mistakes happen. We're only human. But we've got it all to do now on our final qualifying attempt. Okay, here we go. We need to improve. It's not the best. So Verstappen takes pole, just a tenth ahead of Leclerc, Vettel in third, Hamilton, Bottas and Sainz inside the top 6, Albon all the way down in P11. And if we scroll down as well, you can see us in P20. It was a scrappy lap. We managed to get ahead of both the Williams cars, but we're behind Nick De Vries, and I think that's possibly, excuse me, the first time on pure pace that Nick De Vries has out-qualified us. I really should have been ahead of him. It was a messy lap. I didn't really get sector 1 right. Broke a bit too early, I think, for the final chicane as well, where I lost a bit of time. But we did manage to improve our lap by about half a second, but we should have expected a little bit more from that. P20 it will be on the grid at Suzuka. So the rivalry breakdown again, Ricciardo manages to out-qualify us. This rivalry is now at this point pretty much over and done with. I'm not really focused on it anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Team acclaim 18% for me, 16% for Nick De Vries, 34 combined for the team. So we're almost at level 10, and yeah, so everything is slowed down, as you would imagine, being now a slightly higher level. So back in the workstation then, before the main event, 27 laps around Suzuka. Pre-race notes, have a good race out there today. I'm sure you'll do just fine. Let's certainly hope so. I'm tempted now because the aerodynamic department, by the way, is now poor. That's because I had a question that was basically a case of which of your departments has been hit the hardest due to the regulation changes, and I said the aerodynamic department because that's exactly what it is. So things are going to cost a little bit more to get these redone, but I'm not worried. It's fine. That's it's all under control. So I am very tempted to basically possibly buy some new units, just so we've got. I mean, after this, there'll be 3 races left. We'll have enough units to get to the end of the season. So I think we might as well just start at the back, and we'll take on a new energy store and a new electronic system as well. We're going to be starting at the back, so we could, to be honest, just fuck it. We'll just do everything. We'll just do everything. Why not? Why not? Let's just go for it. Gearbox as well. Screw it. We'll order a new one. It really doesn't matter. If we're going to be starting at the back, we might as well go for the whole hog. So we'll take brand new, fresh units into the race at Suzuka. Whether it will give us any sort of advantage, I don't know, but it would basically mean that the ones that we have number 5 for these 3 here and the turbocharger we'll use in qualifying in a race specifically, and then 4 we'll use in FP1, 2 and 3 because there's only 3 races left of the season. And yeah, gearbox as well. Might as well take a new one. Why not? We're starting towards the back. Well, we would have been 20th, so we might as well just start at the back. So that's exactly what we'll be doing. I don't think anyone else out there is going to have we might have another 219 place grid penalty. I wouldn't be surprised. But we'll go to the race. We'll have a look at the introduction to the race, the grid formation as well, and then focus on our race strategy.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Ise Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today in the Japanese Grand Prix? 18 corners make up a lap of the incredible figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit, with 10 to the right and 8 to the left, for a distance of 3.6 miles. Average lap speeds around here are fairly quick. If it stays dry, then expect somewhere in the region of 136 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Now, can I talk to you about Sebastian Vettel? They need second or better to ensure they stay in contention for the title. Anything outside of that and their fate is no longer in their hands.
The key now will be to keep in the right mindset. We've seen time and again that things go wrong if you just try and do the minimum. Not necessarily because of the pressure, but because it's different to your usual approach. They'll need to avoid that and stay focused today.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Bottas, Carlos Sainz and Verstappen. They've taken a grid penalty. Ocon, Perez, Kvyat and Alexander Albon. Gasly, Norris, Kimi Raikkonen and Stroll, Grosjean, Magnussen, Antonio Giovinazzi and Daniel Ricciardo, De Vries, Lee, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So that was the introduction and the grid formation as well. Yeah, I think it was 189 place grid penalty. It's not as bad as what it was at Silverstone, but yeah, anyway, we'll be starting at the back. There's a few more grid penalties out there. I think both Verstappen and Ricciardo have had pretty severe grid penalties. So we'll look at the strategy then. Softs onto hards. Okay, that seems fair enough. Yep, I'll happily go along with that. I reckon we could comfortably do 9 laps on the soft tyres. Hard tyres, I've done no running on them as well, so I'll have to be a bit careful once we make the change onto them. It's going to be difficult really to use ERS round here, but I think we'll start with 2 laps worth of extra fuel anyway. So yeah, that's the strategy we'll do. We'll go ahead into the formation lap. No one behind us. Everyone is ahead.
Okay, our system checks are good. We need to stay in formation and start bringing the car up to temperature, please. Get some load into the tyres and work the brakes. We want them nice and warm by the end of the lap.
Yep, copy all that, Jeff. Although I'm a bit weirded out by the fact that we are starting at the back, but it's still showing me in P20. I'm sure that once the race starts, it will revert us back into P22, and there isn't some sort of glitch going on here. Cars around us, anyway, Russell and Latifi both starting on the medium tyres. Whether they'll do medium to soft remains to be seen, but I reckon it's probably mediums onto hards. So we really need to get past these Williams guys, well, sooner rather than later, really, if we want any chance of clawing some positions back in this race. I'm not expecting us to fly through the field. Of course, there could be a random safety car at some point, as we've seen pretty much most of the season, that could benefit us. But we need to get past both Latifi and Russell as soon as possible. And, to be honest, Nick De Vries. So approaching the end of the season, there's going to be 3 more races after this. Can't remember Canada off the top of my head, but I do believe that the 3 races left to do will be at USA, Mexico and Brazil. So we're coming towards the, well, we're now pretty much starting the final quarter of this season. I quite like the 16 race calendar. I'm definitely going to keep it going. Because the season does get by pretty quickly. And hopefully you guys watching this are having as much fun and entertainment as I'm having. We have had a pretty good season, certainly expecting beating expectations. With all the races that we've had, well, 3 races in the points, and 9th at Zandvoort, largely down to a safety car, 5th at Spain, largely down to a safety car, but 6th at Austria was down to pure pace alone. I don't think we'll be doing the same here today without a safety car, but we can certainly have a bit of fun trying to carve our way through the back markers. So the lights come on now, hold the clutch in, build up the revs. Oh, I've been boxed in. If Latifi can get off me, that would be really helpful. Thank you, sir. We've only gained 1 position. Russell, though, dive bombed a little bit into turn 1. We've got Ricciardo back here in 20th. Could we try a dive bomb in the hairpin? I'm going to go for it. Nice, we've managed to get past both the Williams, De Vries and Russell. Sorry, and Ricciardo. I want to keep our teammate behind us though. So everything we needed to do, we've managed to do halfway around lap 1. And we're on the back of the hard card straight away. That's lap 1 completed then, P18, I'm happy with that, I'll take that. Let's try and put a bit of pressure on the cars ahead. So coming into lap 3 now, DRS will be enabled. 1 DRS zone here.
This lap, we can use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Yep, copy all that. So like I said, 1 DRS zone here along the main straight. Applying a little bit of pressure here to the back of Magnussen, but we're losing time through this part of the circuit. You can see there how busy the wheel is, mainly because our aerodynamic and chassis departments are so low when it comes to upgrades. So around the medium to high speed corners and following traffic, we're going to be losing a little bit of front downforce. One thing I did forget to mention was I bumped the front downforce up by 1 during qualifying. So when we're in a position like this, that we have a bit more of a bite at the front. I'm sort of just blipping the ERS out of some of the low acceleration zones, just to keep us with Magnussen in front. So into lap 6 now. Ricciardo's managed to get past De Vries. Williams cars are slipping back. I'm staying with Magnussen for now, but he's dropping off the back of Grosjean. So we've got to think of something here if we're going to try and get past Magnussen. It's difficult really to follow him through this section of corners. Now I've got Ricciardo all over the back of me as well, who's obviously going to be a lot quicker. Okay, coming across the line at the start lap 9.
Pit window open. Let's box this
Pit window is now open. Here comes Ricciardo, finally making his way past us. It's back down into P19. We're not really making any inroads on Magnussen. In fact, he's pulled away and we're out of DRS range at the moment. We are struggling a little bit with the soft tyres. So we'll be in at the end of this lap for a set of hards. That should just about carry us to the end of the race. The target really was to beat De Vries in the Williams cars. That's exactly what we're doing at the moment. But yeah, this is going to be a race, I think, predominantly run towards the back of the field, unfortunately. Just can't seem to get the balance right in the race. Misty Farm chicane into the pit zone. Put on the hard tyres. We were joined at the back. But yeah, this is going to be, I think, a bit of a lonely race towards the back of our teammate. So back out of the pits, we're in P22. Grosjean and Ricciardo have just pitted as well for the hard tyres. I'm sure we'll jump ahead of the Williams guys and possibly our teammate as well when they pit. But it's going to be a lonely race towards the back here. So Nick has, oh my god, the car. So Nick has rejoined in front of us, unfortunately. You can see just how much I'm struggling with the car through the first sector. So I think Nick might have the beating of us here in this race. So it's crucial then that we beat the Williams cars. I'm pretty sure there'll be mediums onto hards. Well, I hope they are anyway, otherwise if they come out on the soft tyres we could be in trouble finishing last here. It's just not going right in the race. We had initial pace in the practice sessions. Qualifying was a bit of a mess, and the race so far is sort of seen us slip back a little bit. I think the balance is all that settled. Coming up to a yellow flag zone. It's gone green again though. So I don't know what's happened there. It's George Russell. And the VSC is out. So George Russell has retired. Ideally I'd like to have been someone else from further up the order, because I think we would have had the beating of George Russell anyway. There he is over to the side of the circuit. So we can save a little bit of fuel now and resume racing once it goes green flag. So into lap 15 of 27, we're now getting DRS off of Nick De Vries. Latifi is also in the pits as well, making the change onto, I can only assume, a set of hard tyres, and indeed he is, so he's not going to be a factor. So we're looking at a P20 here, unless we can get past Nick De Vries. But we are struggling through Sector 1. So the target now is to beat our teammate, really. Right up behind De Vries here. Cheeky dive bomb. Sorry, teammate. I don't want to be finishing behind you. P19 then. So in lap 20 of 27, we're pretty much stuck here now in P19. We're pulling away from Nick De Vries quite comfortably, but we're losing about half a second a lap to both Magnussen and Grosjean ahead of us. So unless anything amazing happens in the last few laps, looks like unfortunately P19 is going to be our finishing position, which is slightly disappointing. I thought we would have expected a bit more from this race, but yeah, the target really is just to finish now. You never know what might happen now in the last few laps. So at the final chicane then, start at 25 and 27. We're low on fuel and ERS, but that's completely fine. You can see there we've got almost a 13-second gap over De Vries. Magnussen 4.3 ahead. He's sort of being around that gap to us. The last 5 or 6 laps have been pretty monotonous, really. Just been going around and doing what I do. And I think that's pretty much what we're going to be doing for the final few laps here at Suzuka. It's not being the most best for highlights, but it's another finish at least, and that's all we can do. So at the final chicane, onto the main straight. Almost out of fuel, almost out of VRS. It doesn't really matter too much. Magnussen has managed to pull away last couple of laps. He's now 7 seconds clear. And you can see that De Vries is over 13 seconds away from us. So this is pretty much just a cruise lap now. Nothing we can really do from here. It's going to be a P19, which is not bad from 22nd on the grid, really. But to be honest, the only cars we've overtaken is Latifi and De Vries, which would have been expected to do anyway. Hamilton wins the race. That would help his championship. Yeah, I don't know what. I just didn't have the speed here. Car felt twitchy. Difficult to follow cars in the medium to high speed corners as well, especially around sector 3. And yeah, it's just been one of those races where we've just gone through the motions, unfortunately. Unfortunately, you do get those races sometimes where it's just, yeah, you just drive around for a period of time and then finish the race, and that's exactly what's happened here. So not the most highlightiest of highlight videos, but it will be another finish at least, which is what matters. And the tyres, you can see there, into the 50s. So nice and comfortable. The units as well, 5, 6, 7%. Bearing in mind they were brand new units coming into this race. So that's good for the final 3 races of the season. But we'll come out the final corner now. Across the line. It's a lowly P19, but it's still another finish. So the final classification, Hamilton wins with Leclerc and Vettel completing the podium. Verstappen with the extra championship point for fastest lap in 4th, and it's Bottas, Sainz beating out Albon for 6th. Norris in 8th, Perez and Gasly complete the top 10. We can scroll down now to see ourselves. Ricciardo recovered to 14th, and we finished, what was it, about 10.4 behind Magnussen. I think at the end, in about 12 seconds ahead of Nick De Vries. Latifi was lapped and Russell was the only retirement. So then, just 3 races left to go. Hamilton has a 49-point lead in the championship, 75 left available. So he's looking odds on to win the title. Bottas in 2nd, Vettel, Verstappen, Leclerc and Albon inside the top 6. We drop down to 14th. Norris picks up a couple of points and moves us down the order, and still a few drivers yet to score. In the constructors, Mercedes have an 82-point lead over Ferrari, so I think they're looking odds on to claim both drivers and constructors championships. Red Bull in 3rd, 112 points behind Mercedes. McLaren still safe in 4th, but a good result from Renault will see them catch up. AlphaTauri secure in 6th. Alfa Romeo on 25, Racing Point just 1 behind. We remain in 9th on 20. So the rivalry breakdown 2-4 yet again against Ricciardo. Just 1 weekend remaining. It's not going to happen. Hasn't happened for a while. I'm sure I'll get over it pretty quickly. The acclaim vote 18% for me, 20% actually now into level 10, 16% for Nick De Vries, 36 combined for the team. So yeah, we're now in level 10. Finally, the cash. We managed to complete all 3 of the secondary sponsors, bringing an extra 1.18 million in. Damage deductions. So I think it's about 1.4 million profit, up to $9.84 million. So we've got a couple of weeks before the United States Grand Prix. We've got a renewal on the sponsorship side of things. We might as well manage the sponsors. So yeah, okay. So we go for something quite easy then. We did have Atlantic, which was, as a team, complete a total of 75 laps during the race weekend. Weekly income of 217. Gold bonus of 201. I'm feeling like we might as well just carry that one on, actually, because that's quite an easy thing to do. So that's exactly what we'll do, and we'll keep it at that. So we've got the roll dampers hopefully coming in the next few days, and an invitational event, weekly resources and running costs. So we might as well have a look at some activities then, see if we can do anything over here for Nick De Vries. We can do reaction training, so that's exactly what we can do. Down here as well, we've got attend an F1 esports event. It improves my claim by 100. Power department focus, so we can focus a bit of time on the powertrain department. Durability, aerodynamic, and secondary sponsor venue opening. So we might as well do that as well. What else can we do? Durability, team building. We've all done the reaction training, haven't we? Actually, hold on, what have I done there? Didn't mean to do that. So we'll scroll back up there. Or we can do one of these, aerodynamic. We might as well do the aerodynamic one, because we do have to get some things redone on the car. So yeah, as for facilities then, obviously I was going to improve one of the facilities. It's going to be the powertrain department. So we've got $2.5, $4.5, $6.5, $8.5 million to get this redone. So we might as well get it all done then. Increase fabrication capacity to a maximum of 2 simultaneous developments. Cool. Build time, improve build time of upgrades by 20%. Quality control, improve failure chance reduction to 10%. And finally, the resource point generation, improve resource point generation up to 60. So at least it's $1.34 million. Everything seems okay. There's nothing else really to look at. We can look at the R&D side of things. We've got with a major upgrade has obviously come in for the chassis department, which you can see there. That's nice after this weekend, so that moves us up a little bit. We've got a minor upgrade coming in a couple of days, but we might as well get these all redone as quickly as possible. So the ignition system needs to be redone. 0% failure chance is instant. There we go. And the spark plugs can be done with an instant upgrade as well. Down to the aerodynamic department, we'll have the front wing main flap redone. And we'll move over to the rear wing main plane, and finally the front wing gurney flap. Everything is now fully legal going into season number 2. We have 151 resource points left. You can see there, powertrain 2 of 6. We might lose all 4 of these. I'm not too sure how that will work, but the aerodynamic department is now fully legal. Well, both of them are fully legal. There's nothing you can do about the actual Renault upgrade. So there's nothing else really to focus on. We'll have a look at the driver market. We'll look at contracts and see what Nick De Vries is like. You can see there he's a level 75. Everything has gone up +5 since we've hired him. So then we'll go back to the overview. We'll advance the time. So the aerodynamic equipment upgrade has now come in. The roll dampers has passed first time. We'll skip and advance the invitational event. And now the powertrain department is up to level 1. Secondary sponsor viewing, everything is good there. Reaction training, straight on to USGP. So good. So powertrain department is now spec 1. And the last thing we've got to do is get the marketing department up to spec 1, which is going to cost $7 million. But at this point, we'll just save our money for as much as we can, because obviously we've got to get Nick De Vries up and running. If we look at the R&D tree there, you can see that the powertrain department has all now been purchased. Everything is fine. We can do upgrades over here if we want. But then we'll have to spend a bit more money to get them redone. We can look at the chassis and the durability department, but I think at this point we'll just save resource points for the off-season to try and get a few things done in pre-season. The chassis department then up to well, sort of mid-table in that now, so that's good. Aerodynamic department is still quite low. Powertrain at the bottom, but if you look at the powertrain between the top and the bottom, there really isn't much in it. Durability department, we're the second best in that as well, which is quite nice. Nothing in progress, so that's all okay. Vehicle, obviously I'll change around all of this going into the next weekend. The corporate side of things as well, the sponsors Atlantic and Satellite I think will be with us towards the end of the season. Novus will have to renew after the next weekend. As for our main sponsor, 6.49, so pretty much $6.5 million that we'll get at the end of the season. Weekly income of 619 as well. You can see there the awareness stat has gone up another one for Nick De Vries. He's now worth $3 million. His rating is now 76. That is pretty nice. Finances and the finance history up and down in the last couple of months, obviously, as we've been getting more and more of the facility departments up and running to Spec 1. But other than that, there's nothing else really to look at. We can't do any activities, nothing like that. You can see you're on the right, low cash. You do not currently have enough cash to afford your teammates' contract renewal. We probably won't spend any money or resource points now before the end of the season. We've got USA at round 14, and then Mexico round 15, and Brazil as our 16th and final race of the season. So it will be a point now of just saving the money, saving the resource points, and having a rather decent off season going into season 2. So thank you. Thank you for watching this episode. As for the race itself, yeah, just one of those, I think, from Japan, really. We just got the car home. We didn't get any damage. It was a case of just plug the miles away, finish, improve other claim, improve the resource points, get everything behind the scenes up and running as best as we can. So not the most of highlightiest of episodes from Japan. Hopefully I'll have a better running at USA. But thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you all for the next one very soon.